Hi, and welcome to Bracket Monsters, a new, fun, incredibly self-indulgent mini-series from your friends here at Michibiku. I am Graham, and joining me is Jenny. Hey, Jenny. Are you ready
Hey,
for
Graham.
whatever this is?
I am indeed up for some really intense brackets.
Okay, great, because that's what we got. Now, speaking of brackets, here is our bracket. Here's our bracket. We are talking about what the best Pokemon game is. Main series game,
Hmm.
unfortunately, Trading Card Game GB is not eligible for this bracket. It's unfortunate because it would win. But we don't have a bracket, so I don't have to prove it, right?
Right.
Where I do have to prove it is here with this great bracket here. We have four regions. We are dividing it up by platform, right? That way we can compare apples to apples before we get to the oranges, right?
Yeah.
So this in this first episode, we're looking at the Game Boy bracket. Look at this. It's fun. It's the classics.
It is.
They
It is
generally
indeed.
they all have kind of the same logo. That's okay though. That's okay because we got a fun bracket here. Now to tell you how this is gonna work, we're gonna debate these games. We're gonna go just this region for this episode. We're gonna go first round, second round, third round, and then we're gonna have a final four contender at the end of it. Now, if Jenny and I agree, then that game moves on. If we are split, I have with me a Pikachu trading card game coin,
Uh-huh.
and I will flip it, and Jenny, you will call it, and
Okay.
then that will decide the winner, and that will just be objective truth from there on out. It will be the better game, regardless of our own personal opinions. Fair?
Okay. That is fair. I agree.
Great. Let's get to it. So let's start the show with a showstopper: Pokemon
Hmm.
Red versus Blue.
Ooh.
Now,
Okay.
for these first rounds, we're going to talk a little about the version differences before we get into the larger stuff. And Jenny, what do we got?
Well, with Pokemon Red and Blue, the main difference, I'm going to go ahead and assume this is the one that is released worldwide, correct?
Yes, this is
So,
American Red and American Blue.
okay, so American Red and American Blue were different from the Japanese version of Red and Green in that they had more improved sprites and character art and things like that. So, what ends up happening here, the real differences are which Pokemon are in which game.
That's right. And who we got?
Yeah. Well, in red, we have Ekans and Arbok, Oddish and Gloom and Vileplume, Mankey and Primeape, Growlithe and Arcanine, Scyther and Electabuzz. And in blue, we have Sandshrew and Sandslash, Vulpix and Ninetales, Meowth, Persian, Bellsprout, Weepinbell and Victreebel, Magmar and Pinsir.
So a lot about this generation is really going to be about your, nostalgia. Um, so
Yay.
before we get too far,
Hmm.
Jenny, what was your first Pokemon game?
My first Pokemon game was blue.
Okay, mine was Red. Let's do this.
Okay.
So, Red has the good ones.
I disagree. I think red has some that are. I mean, how often do you use Ekans?
It doesn't matter because I'll use Vileplume and Arcanine all day.
Well, see, because I am going to use Vulpix and Ninetales, and I am going to use Sandslash and Sandshrew, and I am going to go ahead and love that Pinsir. And
Really?
yeah, I
The,
liked Pinsir.
your argument is going to hinge on Pinsir.
Looks very cool. He is a good bug.
Okay. He's a good
Look at
bug.
Scyther. He's a better looking bug than Scyther. I mean, look at that. He's got it's like
Scyther's
scissor hands.
great. So Scyther's
He's
very fast. Scyther learns good stuff. Scyther has
mhm.
pretty good attack. Scyther
He has scissor hands. You
Pinsir's
can't
more
help
of a
him.
bug. Scyther's
Yeah,
more of a good Pokemon.
Scyther is a bug, and he's a flying bug.
That's yeah, for sure. Which means doubly weak to stuff, but whatever. He,
Yeah.
they were Scyther's already weak at that stuff. Why do you care? You shouldn't be using them against stuff that they're doubly weak to because they were already singly weak to it. Come on.
Yeah, but Pinsir, eventually, if somehow you ended up cultivating it through all these years, you would get to have Mega Pinsir.
Okay. I mean, I suppose that's a thing. But we can't credit Pokemon Red or Blue with Mega Pinsir,
No, no, we
right?
can't get to that right now, but I'm trying to
Um,
just make some kind of,
right. What we're really talking about is Arcanine is overpowered and incredibly good, and then Blue didn't have it. Do you have a better argument than that?
uh, Vulpix is very pretty.
Okay,
So is Ninetales.
I'm not gonna argue the prettiness of it. Yes, Vulpix is very cute, but Arcanine is like legendary level, despite not being legendary. So what are we talking about?
But I mean, God, the Arcanine argument really gets me down.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Yeah.
Vulpix is very cute, and then becomes Ninetales. That's actually less cute.
I think what Ninetales, well,
I'm not saying not cute. I'm saying less
it,
cute.
you're right, it is less cute, yeah, when it becomes Ninetales.
And in
Especially,
exchange, it's not Arcanine, right? If it became as strong
yeah.
as Arcanine, it would be okay.
Yeah, I suppose you're, yeah, I suppose you're right. I think you're right. It's got to be red.
Okay. It won't always go my way, but in this one, I
Yeah.
feel like it's really
I
just
think
a
Arcanine
stronger
really went.
roster.
I think Arcanine really he does that for you.
Also, I
You know?
noticed you didn't bother to mention any of the Bellsprout line because it's all garbage. See ya, 3 or 4 people who tuned in because you like Bellsprout. Sorry, bye, I guess. Um, but you're garbage. Not you, not the people, just the Bellsprout. But yeah, okay. I feel okay winning that argument. All right.
Yeah.
So red moves on. We're gonna say that red moves on.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's get into a little different conversation, right? Because these aren't the same game. We have Pokemon Yellow versus Pokemon Green. Now Green here is the Japan only release, the stand-in for the
Yeah.
very first Pokemon. And since it's going to lose, I will happily fall on
Yeah.
my sword here and advocate for it very quickly.
Really, you're gonna try and advocate for green?
It's yeah. So it's very ugly,
Yes.
and that's kind of fun, right? Like, how about Pokemon, but before they actually learn to draw any of them? So
Hmm.
it's like the Sanic of Pokemon games, except for it's a real game, where they just didn't know how to draw Pokemon very well yet,
Okay.
which is pretty good. But Yellow is better. Yellow is a better game.
Yeah, Yellow is just so cool. It's actually taking all these different cues from the anime series. You have Pikachu with you all the time, and he reacts to your decisions and behaviors and stuff. And like, if you put him away in box, he's not going to be happy about things like that. And
Mm,
the character sprites are redone, and you have the gym leaders look the same, and Jesse and James are there.
I forgot about all those things. You're right. Green is better.
I did not say that. Jigglypuff has a new overworld sprite, and it looks so much cuter. It
Okay.
has like there's little design differences to make the buildings and environments look cooler. It works better with the Game Boy Color if you have the one outside of Japan where the palettes look better,
Yeah.
and that's kind of appealing. I mean, it has Super Game Boy support, and that's really unusual. So,
Yeah. So the thing I will say before we lose green, because we're gonna lose green here, is that
yeah.
not only is it's weird, but also I think the heavy amount of glitches,
Hmm.
it's kind of endearing how many glitches are in that game, how many things you can exploit in that game, um, and like I don't know, it's a window into the very first thing, right? It's not
It
this
is.
quick remaster. I think it's worth people's time, but you're right, it's gone. Bye, green. Also, your cover star is the weakest starter in the trilogy, so it's fine. Like Venusaur's acceptable, but like Charizard, Blastoise, what are you doing, Venusaur? What's up?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, we'll get back to you later in the next episode. All right, so let's move down to the bottom bracket here, and we got gold versus silver. Now,
Yes.
what are we looking at for the version differences here?
Well, do we first want to maybe go over what's different in the whole gold and silver
I
like
think I
generations?
think we can get to that when we compare it to other
Okay.
generations, right? Right now
Okay.
we're starting with something simple, which is basically which roster of exclusives is better until we get to some later entries that have some differences there.
Okay. Well, first, before we do that, which one did you own?
So, I was a silver kid.
I was a gold kid, and I had the Japanese gold.
I did play some Japanese gold. There was a store like an
Hmm.
hour away that imported Japanese gold and rented it at an exorbitant rate, and we
Uh-huh.
paid a little bit for that and played it that way. That's not a great way to play a game when you don't know the language yet, but we were excited.
Yeah, I can understand that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the version exclusive Pokemon, this one in gold, we have Mankey and Primeape. We have Growlithe and Arcanine. We have Spinarak and Ariados. We have Gligar, the Pokemon that I forget Gligar exists until I see a list like this. We have Teddiursa and Ursaring, and we have Mantine. And in silver, we have Vulpix and Ninetales, Meowth and Persian, Ladybug and Ladyin, Delibird, Skarmory, Panphy, and Donphan.
So I can tell with our previous conversation and how much you dislike Scyther, that you're also not going to be a Skarmory fan?
No, I am not a Skarmory fan.
Okay. That's about the best argument that Silver has, because Gold has Growlithe.
Yeah.
So Gold's better.
Yeah, I was gonna say gold is better. I have to agree with the whole Growlithe and Arcanine.
Yeah.
I always thought Teddiursa and Ursaring were a strong normal type Pokemon, much better than Meowth and Persian.
Of course, hold on now.
Hmm.
We really need... Okay, before we get too far here, let's talk about the legendaries.
Ooh, yeah, you're right.
Because, okay, but besides the legendaries, I think, the version with Growlithe wins because based on what we talked about earlier, and I think the supporting cast is weaker around the non-Growlithe game this time.
Right.
But Ho-Oh's garbage.
I mean,
Not that, like, you can like Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh has a special place in Pokemon history. But Lugia is good and not just Moltres again. Moltres was not even the best fire flying in its own game, and then this is less good Moltres? So...
But I mean, Lugia, that is pretty good, the psychic and flying. But Ho-Oh, if we did not have this, we did not have the really great Pokemon trading card incarnation of it that if you have all the different color energies, you can really clean up.
Okay, if you're... We can't credit that to the game, but again, if you're going to go there are way better Lugia cards than there are Ho-Oh cards. So really, I think this conversation is which is better, Lugia or Growlithe, which is a weird conversation to have, but here we are.
Yeah. Growlithe and Arcanine are really good, though. They are probably the best fire Pokemon you can have.
You're arguing against Vulpix right now, you know that, right?
I know, but we already had the discussion about Vulpix, even though it's cute.
We did. Yeah, so...
And plus, I think it's just like, if you look as a whole, how often do you really even use the legendary Pokemon in a Pokemon game?
I mean...
I think that's what this comes down to. Even though, oh, it's cool, I caught this cool-looking Pokemon, I never
Lugia,
really...
right? So, I mean, both are obtainable in each one, right? That's the reason they're not exclusive. But what it gets you is you can use Lugia to beat the game. That's what this means. To beat the game is not that helpful, I guess.
It's not, but I mean,
you know.
But who really? I never used legendaries really until the very end, and I kind of feel like I'm cheating if I do. So I still think that like gold is great.
Yeah.
Gold is worth more than silver.
Okay, it sounds like we might be at an impasse here.
Yeah. Come on, you're gonna try and fight for Panphy and Donphan? And what about Delibird? Do you really want to say I chose this because Delibird?
No, again, I just think Lugia is good. I just think Lugia is very useful.
Well, Lugia does not look as cool as Ho-Oh. Yeah.
Hold on. Really depends on your definition of cool there. This feels like we're at an impasse. I don't think we're going to convince each other here.
I don't know. I mean,
should we let the coin decide?
You know what? It's like Lugia is like the Kazoo of like Pokemon, and
okay. I'm sorry. What?
Let's let
the
coin decide.
Okay.
We'll have the coin
all right.
decide.
Now I'm gonna flip it, and I'm gonna flip it wildly.
No, Crystal's gonna win anyway. Crystal is gonna win after this anyway, so it's gonna.
We'll have that conversation when we get to.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm calling it. All right, here we go. Call it whenever, and I'll flip it. This is an audio medium. They're not,
I'll go heads.
It's heads. Okay. Gold is the better game.
Yay.
Everyone, gold is better than silver. It's just true.
Hmm.
I can't dispute that. The coin spoke.
Yeah. So
All
now you
right.
want to talk about how crystal is better than gold?
Do we want to go ahead and do that? Crystal is better than gold.
Yeah, crystal's better than gold.
Uh, it's an improved version of the game. I don't know what sort of argument you can make for gold and silver, except for to say that you can play them on a regular Game Boy.
Yeah.
That's something. You can play them on a Super Game Boy.
Yeah.
That's also useful. Um, yeah, you know what? I like Super Game Boy a bunch.
But here you can have the choice of the gender for the playable character for the first time, which, I
Okay,
mean, even though it's aesthetic, it's really kind of cool.
true.
They have the ice path that was kind of had new puzzles that was really neat. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, wasn't there also a whole bunch of new thing, different puzzles and challenges involving that one ruins?
Yes.
And you
Yeah. There's some
also,
stuff.
I mean, you do have to wait until after you complete the game to catch both Ho-Oh and Lugia, but still, you both catch them at level 60. You've got them both. The Ruins of Elf is cool. The people, if you talk to them on the phone now, the trainers, they have like a little more personality, which was neat.
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind
I
of cool.
I can live with that, but I do want to say if there are people who want to advocate for the best game you can play on a Super Game Boy, it might be Gold.
It
That's not
might
true. You,
be,
you can
yeah.
you can play trading card game GB on a Super Game Boy. So nope.
But you also have a chance. You can't forget too, there's the whole odd egg thing that was kind of neat.
Yeah,
Where you got the egg the first time and you had a higher chance of getting a shiny. So like that Pokemon Crystal could have been your first chance of getting a shiny. Because
that's
back
true.
then it was much more difficult.
Well, I mean, Gyarados, right?
Yeah, Gyarados, yeah, but
Okay, Krista wins that. It's fine. That's fine.
yeah.
But I did want to give him a fair shake. Now
Yeah.
we go up to the top of the bracket here,
Hmm.
where we have red versus yellow.
Okay.
How do you feel about this?
I think I'd want to argue for red.
Okay. I will argue for yellow then. Make the red argument.
Red, you have a lot more freedom of choice. You can choose which starter you want, and that allows you a lot more of a strategic option to it, which is great. And red, it also has, you're not constricted by the storyline of the anime series and everything. It's kind of almost like it's a little bit gimmicky when you have that like imposed on you. So those are my main arguments, I think.
Okay. The argument in favor of yellow is that at this point, these games
Hmm.
are inherently about nostalgia,
Yeah.
right? Yellow combines the nostalgia for the Game Boy game with the nostalgia for the show. If
Yeah.
you really want some nostalgia, let me tell you, you got you got a lot more nostalgia in that game, right? Because there's
Right.
double the nostalgia. Um, no, red's better. I
Okay, so
tried. I
red.
did. Surfing Pikachu is cool.
Surfing Pikachu is very cool, but didn't you have to have that one special thing to really take advantage of it, the mini game and stuff? And
Yeah, I mean, there's
yeah,
a lot to it for sure.
yeah,
But yeah, red's better.
yeah. Red's better.
Cool. Glad we
Yeah.
settled that. Now we got red versus crystal for the championship of this bracket. This will be the
Uh-huh.
last matchup of the episode. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling Crystal. How are you feeling?
Oof.
You have to consider now we're getting into the point where
Yeah.
how Crystal, the games, like the generations, the differences and make them better. Do you want to know what Crystal did so much better than Red?
I mean, it has way fewer
Well, I mean,
glitches. You know.
well, yeah, and you also like, well, you know a lot of, but what happened between the two generations is there used to be the special was like one trait, and once it got to the whole gold, silver, crystal generation, it was split into special attack and special defense.
You're right.
Which kinda,
It's
yeah,
more to
that
keep
was.
up with for no particular reason. Also,
Well, I
there's a
mean,
bunch of berries, and why do you want berries? Stop with the berries. They're annoying. Just get rid of berries.
unless you have well, if you have something that's held, then it's easier for if you're trading, you can give something to somebody, and if you have like a berry that's held that can restore health, that can really kind of screw somebody over if they had a tactic. There was the dark type introduced,
Sure.
which is important. You needed that kind of check there on Psychic.
Yeah, I mean that was
The Psychic was
unnecessary. You're right. You know what I never caught in
huh,
any other game,
huh.
but Red, a level 255 Golduck. It's the only game where you can get level 255 Golduck out in the wild. I think it's important to keep that in mind. It's a very
What about the
strong
Steel
Golduck,
types?
you know.
The Steel type was also introduced in Gold, Silver, and Crystal.
I don't think
And
any Steel type that's 155 levels lower than my Golduck is gonna win. So
but then you'd have to have a Golduck on your team. Do you really want to have a Golduck? And what about
yeah,
there's the
when
whole
it's
you
level
didn't what?
255, of course you
It's a,
do.
it's a level 255 one that didn't have Pokerus ever. And you
Right.
didn't have any and it wasn't shiny.
It's a
It was
clean bill of
255.
health. It's a normal Golduck, but also it's just the strongest Golduck you've ever seen.
And
It's very
what
good.
you couldn't even breed it. So you couldn't even like pass on a legacy and watch this level 255 Golduck go down through the years
I
and
don't
create
know.
a
I'm talking
dynasty.
to you right now about my level 255 Golduck. I think it's got a legacy.
I really think that the Crystal has to win.
Fine, Crystal wins. But let me tell you, me and my
You want to talk
Golduck, we
your level
roll deep.
255 Golduck?
That's right.
Yeah? You made a
Yeah.
splash. You did.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't learn Splash.
Oh,
It's got other moves though that don't make a lot of sense.
okay.
Yeah. All right. So that is our first bracket. Pokemon Crystal will be heading to the final four of our bracket here, to the championship episode. Check in next time where we talk about the GBA games.
Yep, bye.